How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis and we've got a new developer blog from the Old School RuneScape team. In fact, this is the first developer blog of 2016. This is Zeah, Deadman Mode and Jad II. So the first poll of 2016 is going to be a bumper edition for us, which includes additions to Zeah, changes to Deadman Mode, as well as an addition of a bigger and badder Jad. So let's get straight into this with Zeah, having a look at Necromancy. First of all, they want to have a look at the Necromancy spellbook. They've had a lot of feedback asking for changes, and this is what they want to poll. Starting off with teleportation. The inhabitants of Zeah have never had lore runes before, so have not been able to investigate the ability to teleport. Since your arrival on Zeah, new teleports have been researched and discovered, using the power of the Dark Altar. Teleports on offer will include the Lumbridge Graveyard at level 6, Draenor Manor at level 17, the grave next to the Mind Altar at level 28, your respawn point at level 34, the Ghouls at Mauritania at level 40, outside Frankenstein's Castle at level 48, West Ardoyne at level 61, Harmony Island at level 65, the Graveyard in the Wilderness at level 71, Barrows at level 83, and the Apatol Caves near the Zombie Monkeys at level 90. These all sound really useful, and just in case you are interested, all the teleports that require you to complete a quest prior to visiting the area will not work until that area has been unlocked. And they'll poll each teleport separately. So it's possible we could have, say for example, the Lumbridge Graveyard teleport, but not the Draenor Manor one. They'd also like to poll a number of other new spells. Starting off with the Wines to Wine of Zamorak spell at level 55. You will use the power of the Dark Altar to corrupt a jug of wine and turn it into the Wine of Zamorak. However, this will need to go through a lot of balancing iterations to make sure the runes used are appropriate. If this spell comes out, they will need a lot of feedback on this, because obviously at the moment Wines of Zamorak are a little bit harder to get and a little bit slower to get than just regular wine. The other spell that they want to introduce is Resurrect Crops at level 78. Each time you cast this spell, you'll have a chance to resurrect your dead crops. You'll only get one chance to cast the spell on each crop, and if it fails, you'll not be able to cast it again on the same crop. If you're successful at casting this spell, it will revive your crop to the same stage it was when it died. So it's not going to instantly make them fully grown, however it will help you out if you need it. Additionally, there are a few other changes they want to add to Zeah. As a reward from the Hosidius Tith minigame shop, you'll be able to buy a farming outfit which gives you a 2.5% bonus to the farming XP you gain when wearing it. This will be similar to the Lumberjack outfit and the Motherlode Mine outfit. As another reward from the Tith minigame shop, they'd like to offer us a seed box. This box will store up to 6 different types of seeds and only take up 1 inventory space, making it very useful when you're trying to do farming runs. Also, in the Hosidius area, there's a vine house. They'd like to open the vine house so you can grow your own grapes in it as a reward for getting 65% favour with the house. You'll need 36 farming to grow grapes, and the higher your farming level, the more grapes you'll get. For the Shazian house, they want to poll a reward for getting 100% favour. This will allow you to fight a new high-level lizard man. This lizard man will drop the Dragon Warhammer, and the stats of the Dragon Warhammer will be as follows. -4 stab attack, -4 slash attack, 95 crush attack, -4 magic attack, and 85 strength bonus. As we can see in this table, they've also compared the Dragon Warhammer to the Anchor, the Rune Warhammer, and the Abyssal Bludgeon. Obviously the crush attack is slightly better than the Anchor, but not quite as good as the Abyssal Bludgeon. But the melee strength attack isn't quite as good as the Anchor, but it's equal to the Abyssal Bludgeon, with the rest of the stats being equal to what the Rune Warhammer has. I feel that if we compare this to the other Warhammers in game, especially if we're looking at the Rune Warhammer here, we can see that the Dragon Warhammer is quite a step up from it. However, if we're looking at other crush weapons in game, it doesn't seem quite as powerful. So I think it's going to be quite powerful for a dragon weapon, but compared to the other weapons in game, it's not going to be the most powerful. It will definitely be an interesting balance with these stats. The special attack on the Dragon Warhammer will use 35% special attack energy. When doing the special attack, the Warhammer will deal 50% more damage and lower your opponent's defense by 30%. That's a 30% flat reduction on their level, not the damage you've dealt, but should only take effect if you deal above 0 damage. Effectively meaning you have to deal some damage in order to reduce their defense, but you've got a good chance of that because you have a 50% increase in your damage. Now I've got a memory of them polling a special attack very similar to this not too long ago. Potentially for the Abyssal Bludgeon, I'm not too sure. However, I've got a feeling that back then I didn't like the special attack, whereas now with the Dragon Warhammer I can imagine this working quite well. These high level lizard men that drop the Dragon Warhammer will have an acid attack, which will be negated by the Shazian armor that you earn from the Shazian house. So, to the people that are saying the Shazian armor is rubbish, this is where it's going to be used, specialised PVM. And finally, on Zeah, they want to offer us the option of recolouring a graceful outfit if you reach 100% alignment with a house. And of course, the colour of your outfit will depend on the house you have 100% favour with. Now, I really like this concept. I think having something to show off you've got 100% alignment with a house is great, and obviously graceful is so useful, many people want it. However, the one thing I have, at least when we look at this image of the graceful outfits, is I kind of want to throw up when I see this. If we have a look at the bigger image, you can see that potentially maybe the Shazian looks quite good, and even Levenkinge, but I think the Piscarilius and Hosidius ones look rather disgusting. Moving on to Deadman Mode. They want to make several changes to Deadman Mode. Firstly, they want dragons to give you a chance of dropping Dragon Claws on Deadman Mode only. This will have the same rarity as getting a Draconic Visage, and the Dragon Claws will be balanced the same way they were on release in 2008. They'd also like the Wilderness bosses on Deadman Mode only to drop PvP armors. Just the armor though, not the weapons. The stats for those will be the same as they were when they were originally released in 2008. They'd also like for all new players in Deadman Mode to be protected from attacks in their first 6 hours of gameplay. Players will not be able to attack other players during the protected period. If they wish to remove the protection, they can speak to an NPC who can facilitate that. In addition to the above protection, they want to add some more protection, so if you kill a player who is more than 40 combat levels less than yourself, you will not get a key from their kill unless they're skulled. And finally, for Deadman Mode, they'd like to add the same PJ timer that you find in PvP worlds. So for me, that was a lot of information about Deadman Mode. First of all, let's talk about declaws and PvP armor. These are things people have been requesting in Old School RuneScape for quite a while, because obviously they were in RuneScape since 2008. Personally, I don't want them in game. As for Deadman Mode, it affects me less, because I'm not a Deadman Mode player and I don't really have any plans to play Deadman Mode. However, I like the fact that Deadman Mode is pretty much Old School RuneScape, just with a few different rule changes. When the content starts to be different, I feel that it's not quite the same. Now, you might think, why are you complaining about that? Now the thing is, they said with Deadman Mode Seasons, they would like to pull different rules and different content, such as Dragon Claws and PvP armor, which I think is a great idea. People that want to play in a season that has PvP armor, Dragon Claws, whatever, can do so. Moving on, the second part of this was pretty much just for protection in Deadman Mode. Now, as MobMattK has said in many Q&As, Deadman Mode shouldn't really protect you. Deadman Mode is raw. It's risky. That's the whole point of it. Just because you're new doesn't mean you should get 6 hours of pure protection or however much time you want. There's always going to be players out there to kill you, and that should just happen. The one thing I somewhat agree on is the idea that if you kill someone that's under 40 combat levels lower than you, you don't get a key, unless they're skulled. Now the reason I quite like that is, I like the idea of some protection for lower levels. Not necessarily protection, but more or less a lack of an incentive to kill those lower levels. However, if you think about it, if there's a level 3 skiller, then they could just get loads of stuff and people trying to kill you would struggle getting any reward from that. So I think they have to take into consideration more than just combat if they want to implement some kind of protection for the lower levels. And finally, the PJ timer. Personally, I don't think it should have it, because, like I said before, Deadman Mode is meant to be really risky and really rewarding. That being said, I do imagine that PvPers do hate it if you've just killed someone, you're low health, and then someone just comes and owns you. It's in PvP worlds, which seems fair, however it's not in the wilderness, so most PKers should be used to it. Next, Jad II. Can you remember when Jad came out? If you can't, then imagine all the people killing Zora times 10. Because you had to fight through all those waves to get to Jad, and then you had a huge boss fight after. To many players, Jad is still one of the ultimate boss achievements that you can kill. They want to create the same thing again with an expansion to the fight caves. They propose that upon defeating Jad for the first time, you can choose to continue your battle through additional waves of the fight caves until you encounter Jad II. On the completion of the final wave, the floor will give way and plunge you deeper into the caves where Jad II awaits for you. If you manage to defeat him, you will be rewarded with one of 3 capes. These will be best in slot capes for mage, melee and range. And they'll have the following stats. The melee cape will have a +4 in all the melee attack stats and a +1 in magic and range. It'll have a +12 in all of the defense stats. It'll have a +8 in melee strength and a +2 prayer bonus. The range cape will have a +1 in all of the melee and magic attack stats and a +6 in the range. It'll have a +12 in all of the defense stats. It'll have a +6 in the range strength and a 2 prayer bonus. And finally, the mage cape will have a +1 in the melee attack stats and a +12 in the magic attack stat. It'll have +12 in all of the defense stats. It'll have a 5% magic damage and 2 prayer bonus. If we have a look at this table, we can see that these new capes are being compared to the current best in slot capes. And I think that they're all appropriate when you compare them to the fire cape. Potentially their strength is a little high. Compared to their other best in slot ones, say the Avers Accumulator and the God cape, I feel less so. However, we've got to remember that you've got to kill Jad II in order to get these, and that's going to be a real challenge. Or at least I hope it will be. Because the aim of Jad II is to make it very difficult to beat, and obtaining these capes should be seen as a huge achievement. However, they know that so many players are very resourceful, and will probably find it quite easy at some points. So they're going to reserve the right to tweak the balancing to ensure that this is a big challenge. Finally, the other questions they want to ask in this poll. Should they add an additional skeletal wyvern cave, which can only be accessed if you have a task to kill a creature from your Slayer Master? Effectively a Slayer-only skeletal wyvern cave. Should there be a toggle to filter the boss kill counter message from your message box? Should there be a chance of getting a bottle when fishing which contains a clue scroll? Should they add a permanent ditch content button to compost bins? This would allow you to ditch the contents of a bin before it's done composting, as well as after. And should the teleport scrolls be given a new, unique animation? Let's have a quick look at this animation. So your character quickly holds up a scroll, lots of stars come around you, and a ring picks you up and teleports you to your location. I think that looks pretty good, and I can imagine that being a teleport animation. So I imagine that's going to do okay. All of this developer blog seems pretty fine and dandy. I've gone through a few of the points that I wanted to back when I was going over the actual item. One thing I haven't mentioned is the idea of getting a clue scroll from a bottle when fishing. I'm not a huge fan of this. I kind of like the idea of clue scrolls, or at least the current clue scrolls, being combat only. I believe there's 1 or 2 ways of getting them non-combat, but I like the idea of these being combat only. And I quite like the idea of some later skilling clue scrolls being added. But I imagine this will probably pass, so I guess we'll be expecting those soon. If you want to provide some feedback on these updates, make sure you do so on the forums. And if you want to talk about your favourite updates in this dev blog, please let me know in the comments below. If you want to watch the latest Old School RuneScape update, please click here for Great Karen tweaks. And if you want to watch my video on the main update there, please click here for Zeah, Great Karen. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the Old School RuneScape updates, dev blogs and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.